Hey guys, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. My name is Crown, and today I'm going to read you some very interesting stories that I hope that you're gonna love. And now, without further ado, let's go!
I just turned 22 last month and life's been pretty good. I graduated from college with a degree in computer science, landed a decent entry-level job at a local tech startup, and my parents surprised me with a car as a graduation gift. It's not brand new or fancy, but it's mine, and I love it. I've always been the responsible type, so taking care of this car became my new obsession. My little sister's still in high school, and since our parents both work late, I've taken on the duty of picking her up most days. It's not a big deal. The school's on my way home from work, and it gives us some time to catch up. So last week, I'm driving to pick her up, like usual. I'm at this intersection I've been through 100 times before, waiting for the light to change. When it finally turns green, I start to move forward. Then, out of nowhere, bam! This car comes flying in from the right and slams into my passenger side. I'm in shock for a second, trying to process what just happened. I get out of my car a bit shaky, and this woman, probably in her early 30s, jumps out of her car and starts screaming at me. She yells, asking why I went through the red light. I nervously respond, telling her that I had a green light and I'm sure of it. She argues back, saying there's no way, and admits she was texting and only looked up to see a green light. I'm trying to explain again that I had the green light when it hits me what she just admitted to. But before I can say anything, her kids start yelling from her car. One kid shouts that their mom is always right, while the other yells that I'm the one who messed up. Then this boy, maybe 12 or 13, gets out of her car and marches up to me. He tells me that I'm at fault and that his mom did nothing wrong. I'm pretty sure the kid was on his phone too, because there's no way they all missed that red light. I'm trying to keep calm, even though I'm getting more frustrated by the second. I try to defuse the situation by suggesting we exchange insurance information, pointing out that we're blocking traffic at a busy intersection. The woman just glares at me, then turns and heads back to her car. Her son follows, and before I can do anything, they speed off. That's when I noticed her car doesn't even have license plates. I'm standing there, next to my banged-up car, feeling lost. A few people who saw the whole thing come over to check on me. They're super nice, telling me they saw everything and that I definitely had the green light. I'm grateful, but I'm also panicking about what my parents are going to say. I call the cops and a tow truck. While I'm waiting, I'm doing the math in my head. My job doesn't pay much. It's entry level after all. I have no idea how I'm going to afford these repairs. I really don't want to have to borrow my parents' cars all the time. The more I think about it, the angrier I get. This woman was texting while driving, tried to make me think I was crazy, and then just took off without a word. And to top it all off, she was driving without plates, which probably means no insurance either. After my car gets towed, I head straight to the police station. I give them every detail I can remember about the woman and her car. That's when they tell me there are traffic cameras at that intersection. I had no idea. They're well hidden. The officer tells me they'll review the footage and send a car to check out the school area. I'm sitting there waiting for news when an officer comes in with an update. They found her. Turns out this isn't her first rodeo. It's her third hit and run. She's been driving with an expired license for 3 years and, of course, no insurance. They arrested her on the spot for reckless endangerment, driving with an expired license, no insurance, and hit and run. The officer tells me I have a solid case for a lawsuit to cover the damages to my car. When I was leaving the station, my phone buzzed. It's a text from my sister asking where I am. With everything that happened, I completely forgot to pick her up. I feel terrible, but then I have an idea. I call my parents and explain everything. They're upset about the car, of course, but more concerned that I'm okay. I ask if they can pick up my sister, and then I have a thought. I tell them to bring her to the police station instead. When they arrive, I'm waiting outside. My sister runs up, worried, but I assure her I'm fine. Then I tell them all about what happened. As we're talking, the officer who helped me comes out. He thanks my sister for her patience and tells us that, thanks to the quick action, they were able to catch a repeat offender. He even offers to give my sister a tour of the station to make up for her long wait. It wasn't the day I planned, but maybe some good came out of it after all. When I bought my first house a few years ago, I knew it was only a matter of time before I'd make that dream come true. After months of planning and getting all the necessary permits, construction finally began. I was ecstatic, watching the progress day by day, but my excitement was short-lived when I realized not everyone shared my enthusiasm. My next-door neighbor, who I'll call Karen, seemed to have a problem with everything I did. From the moment the excavation started, she was at my doorstep complaining about the noise, the dust, and even the color I chose for the pool liner. One day, while I was supervising the work, Karen stormed over. She demanded to know what I thought I was doing. I replied, confused, asking if there was a problem. Karen exploded, saying of course there was a problem, and accused me of ruining the quiet neighborhood with what she called a monstrosity. I tried to explain that I had all the necessary permits and wasn't breaking any rules. Karen threatened to call the police to sort things out. True to her word, she did call the police. Multiple times, in fact. Each time the officers would come, check my permits, and leave finding nothing wrong. But Karen wasn't deterred. One evening, as I was enjoying a quiet dinner on my patio, I heard a commotion outside. I stepped out to find Karen standing at the edge of my property, screaming at the top of her lungs. She accused me of thinking I was smart with my fancy pool and permits. She threatened to sue me if I didn't fill in what she called an eyesore right away. When I asked what she could possibly sue me for since I hadn't done anything wrong, Karen ominously warned that she'd find something, and if that didn't work, she'd blow up my house. I was shocked. Was she actually threatening to blow up my house? I immediately called the police to report the threat, but when they arrived, Karen denied everything. Without proof, there wasn't much they could do except warn her to stay off my property. For the next couple of weeks, things were tense. I installed security cameras just in case and tried to avoid Karen as much as possible. The pool was finally completed, and despite the drama, I was determined to enjoy it. Then, one sunny afternoon, as I was floating peacefully in my new pool, I heard sirens. Lots of sirens. I climbed out just in time to see several black SUVs screech to a halt in front of Karen's house. Men in FBI jackets poured out, weapons drawn. I watched as they broke down Karen's door and dragged her out in handcuffs. The entire neighborhood was out on their lawns, watching the spectacle unfold. Karen was kicking and screaming as they put her in one of the vehicles. She yelled that this was all my fault and that I would pay for it. I shouted back that I had no idea what was happening. It wasn't until later that evening that I found out what had transpired. Apparently, Karen had been caught trying to purchase explosive materials on the dark web. The FBI had set up a sting operation posing as illegal arms dealers, and Karen had fallen for it hook, line, and sinker. As it turned out, Karen's threats weren't just empty words. She had actually been planning to follow through on her promise to blow up my damn house. The thought sent chills down my spine. If the FBI hadn't intervened, who knows what might have happened? Karen was charged with multiple felonies, including attempted purchase of illegal explosives and conspiracy to commit terrorism. She is now spending 20 years in federal prison, and needless to say, she won't be returning to the neighborhood. I'm still trying to process everything that happened. It's surreal to think that my simple desire for a backyard pool led to uncovering a potential terrorist in our midst. The new neighbors who moved into Karen's house are lovely people who actually asked if they could come over for a swim sometime. I guess karma really does come full circle, or in this case, full pool. My brother was nearly a decade older than me, and by the time I was in high school, he was already married and starting his own business. Our parents doted on him, their golden child, while I struggled to find my place. When I graduated college, the job market was tough. I landed a position, but it barely paid enough to cover my student loan payments, let alone rent and food. That's when my brother stepped in. He told me I could stay with them for a while just until I got back on my feet. I was beyond grateful. Their house was spacious, with a comfortable guest room that became my sanctuary. I did everything I could to show my appreciation, cooking, cleaning, even buying groceries when I could scrape together enough cash. 6 months flew by and things were looking up. I landed a better job and started contributing more to the household. But then my sister-in-law got pregnant and everything changed. It started with little comments here and there. My sister-in-law mentioned that they'd need to start thinking about a nursery soon. My brother suggested converting the office, but my sister-in-law pointed out that they needed the office and hinted that the guest room would be perfect. I tried to ignore the hints, but they became more frequent and direct. My brother assured me I could stay until I found a new place, but his wife was clearly unhappy about it. Then came the day that changed everything. I came home from work exhausted after a long day, only to find all my belongings packed up in boxes in the hallway. My brother was waiting for me, looking uncomfortable. My brother awkwardly said we needed to talk. When I asked what was going on and why all my stuff was out in the hallway, he apologized and explained that they needed me to move out that day. I was shocked and reminded him that he said I could stay until I found a place. He acknowledged that but said they needed the room for the baby. He offered to help with a security deposit on a new place. I was stunned, hurt, humiliated. I hadn't even had a chance to look for apartments yet. Where was I supposed to go? I asked if I could at least stay until the weekend to give me a few days to figure something out. That's when my sister-in-law appeared from the kitchen and insisted they really needed me out that day because painters were coming the next day to start on the nursery. I've been nothing but helpful and considerate, and this was how they repaid me. Was no warning, no discussion. The next few months were hell. I couch surfed, bouncing between friends' places, feeling like a burden everywhere I went. I picked up extra shifts at work, scrimping and saving every penny until I could finally afford a tiny studio apartment. It wasn't much, but it was mine. Years passed. I worked hard, climbed the corporate ladder, and eventually found myself in a comfortable position. I had a good job, a nice apartment, and was even saving for a house of my own. Life was good. Then, out of the blue, my phone rang. It was my brother, and he sounded desperate. My brother greeted me and said he needed my help. When I asked what was wrong, he explained that everything had fallen apart. His business had gone under, they were being evicted, and they had nowhere to go. I knew what was coming next. He hesitantly asked if there was any way they could stay with me just for a few months until they got back on their feet. The irony wasn't lost on me. Here they were, in the exact same position I'd been in years ago. Only now the tables had turned. I told him I didn't know and that I needed to think about it. He pleaded with me, saying we were family and family was supposed to be there for each other. Those words stung. Where was that family loyalty when I was the one in need? Over the next few days, the guilt trips intensified. Text messages, phone calls from our parents, all telling me I should help because they're family and what happened years ago is in the past. But you know what really got me? Not once, not a single time, did my sister-in-law apologize for how they'd treated me. It was like it never happened. Finally, I made my decision. I called my brother back. I told him I'd thought about it and had an answer for him. He sounded hopeful. I said they could stay with me, but before he could finish expressing his relief, I interrupted him. I explained that they could stay, but there were conditions. He hesitantly asked what the conditions were. I laid them out. First, they'd have to pay rent. It wouldn't be much, but they'd have to contribute. Second, they'd need to help with chores and expenses, just like I did when I stayed with them. And third, I wanted an apology, a real one from both of them, acknowledging how they had treated me. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. He said he understood and thanked me, promising they'd make it work. I added one more thing. They'd have 3 months, and after that, they'd need to have a plan to move out. I explained that I wasn't running a charity and wouldn't put my life on hold indefinitely. He agreed that it was fair, more than fair, and thanked me again. I was helping my family, yes, but on my terms. I wouldn't let myself be taken advantage of again. When I stumbled upon this awesome Hooters-style shirt at Forever 21, I knew I had to have it. It wasn't even an official Hooters shirt, just a cool design with a girl and a motorcycle on it. Perfect for my style. Anyway, I've been chatting with this guy online for a while. and we finally decided to meet up for a date. I wanted to look cute but not too overdressed, so I paired my new shirt with a black mini skirt, a chain belt, and some comfy Vans. I even took the time to do my hair and makeup properly. Feeling pretty confident, I suggested we meet at this cozy local beer bar I knew. When I got there, I spotted him right away. He looked even better in person, and I could tell he liked my outfit. We hit it off immediately, laughing and sharing stories over our drinks. Everything was going great. About an hour into our date, I excused myself to use the restroom. As I was walking past this table of girls who looked to be in their early 20s, one of them called out to me. At first, I thought maybe she recognized my shirt or wanted to know where I got my skirt. You know how girls can be when they spot something cute another girl is wearing. But as I approached their table, I noticed the other girls looking absolutely mortified. That should have been my first clue that something weird was about to happen. The girl who called me over looked me up and down and asked if I could bring them some water. I was stunned for a second, trying to process what just happened. Her friends immediately started freaking out, exclaiming that I didn't work there and telling their friend to stop. It was just so absurd. I mean, we weren't even at Hooters. And even if we were, my outfit was nowhere near a Hooters uniform. I explained to them that I didn't work there and was just a customer like them. The girl who called me over turned bright red. She apologized profusely, saying she had assumed because of my shirt. I assured her it was no problem and explained that it was just a regular shirt I bought at Forever 21, not even a real Hooters shirt. She expressed how stupid she felt and asked for forgiveness. I was about to walk away, still chuckling to myself, when I decided to have a little fun with the situation. I told them I'd get them those waters anyway, but jokingly said I expected a good tip. The girls all looked at each other, unsure if I was serious or not. I winked at them and headed to the bar. I asked the bartender for a pitcher of water and some glasses, explaining the situation. He thought it was hilarious and played along. When I returned to their table with the water, their jaws dropped. I jokingly told them that the water would cost $50. Their eyes went wide and they started stammering. One of the girls pointed out that I had just said I didn't work there. I playfully explained that while I didn't work there, I was fulfilling their request and had to go out of my way during my date to do so, so I thought $50 was reasonable. They all looked at each other, completely flustered. I couldn't keep a straight face anymore and burst out laughing. I then revealed that I was just kidding and the water was free, courtesy of the bar. I gently advised them not to assume someone works somewhere just because of what they're wearing, as it could lead to awkward situations. The girls all let out sighs of relief and started laughing too. The one who had originally called me over thanked me for being such a good sport about it and apologized again. I assured her it was no problem and told them to enjoy their water. Maybe I'll wear that shirt more often. You never know what kind of adventures it might lead to. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.